This is Césaire of Teacher Césaire's channel, and welcome once again. Well, I'm back, and I had planned to be back earlier than this, but I just sort of got lazy about making videos, and ever since I've got on YouTube, I think in the last 2 years, I've gone through periods about, should I keep doing this or should I stop doing it? Okay, but I've decided I'm going to continue to make YouTube videos, and I'm going to try to make them more frequently. I can't make an exact promise, but I do plan to make some little changes to my channel. I'm going to change the name. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to change it to Teacher Césaire's Books and Talks. Okay, so I'm going to. I would like to change my book. The plan is to change my channel, not my books, but to change my channel into a platform where I'm continuing to share books that I've read, books that I'm reading, and also to talk about different social issues, different societal issues, maybe a little bit of politics, okay? Because I'm sort of a reluctant fan of following politics. It's very reluctant, okay? But I want to be informed because my country is always in the thick of things, okay? Always in the thick of things. But yeah, I have decided to make those changes for my channel, to my channel. So I'm hoping that I can, because I have a lot of things on my plate at this time. But I'm going to try to tackle it. I'm going to see if I can. So if I do more than just books, I figured out I can make videos maybe a little bit more frequently. I'm hoping so. Okay. I tried to stay away from the content creator name. Okay, maybe I'm being a little snooty, but I decided, well, hey, maybe I should keep my channel, because you just never know. You just never know. YouTube can become a source of income, so I wasn't looking at it that way. My idea about YouTube was mostly as a hobby, but anyway, so there will be some changes on here, some planned changes on my channel. First thing will be to change on my homepage to change the name. Okay, all right, so I am back again at I finished the book last night. It's another short one. I'm reading several books, but the one I finished reading last night is by a Pulitzer Prize winner. He became a Pulitzer Prize winner this year, and he is from Gaza, and his name is Mosab Abu Toha. Okay, and I just finished reading his book called Things You May Find Hidden in My Ear. This is a library book. I was surprised that my local library has his poetry, but we have a pretty good library where I live. And the Georgia library system, I live in the state of Georgia, for those of you who don't know, but the Georgia library system is pretty good. We have a good library system here. It has really developed over the years, and I hope that with all the changes and all the defunding and everything that's going on with Trump, that it doesn't go downhill. But we have a good library system here. We have the Libby app. The Libby app is, you can check out books on that and read books. So we have a good library system. So Mosab Abu Toha, I decided to read his poetry book. I checked to see about whether his books were available. I follow him on social media. I follow him on Facebook, and I follow him, I think, on Instagram as well. And he keeps always daily updates of what's going on in Gaza. Now, he no longer lives in Gaza. He left Gaza about a year ago with his wife and children. And he lives here in the United States now. But the first time I actually saw him, I didn't realize it. I had, been following him, and I didn't realize, and I heard about his books. He would share articles that he had wrote for the magazine, the New Yorker magazine. And the first time I actually heard about him was about 8 years ago. He was in an interview, TRT World, the English-speaking Turkish language channel, interviewed him like 8 years ago after he had opened up a library in Gaza. Okay, so he opened up a library. He got help, and he opened up a small library in Gaza. He is both a teacher, librarian, scholar, writer, poet. Okay, this young man is really, he's really doing stuff. He has written for a number of periodicals just in my country. Okay, so he is from Gaza. some of the poems in the book were actually in periodicals that he in magazines, poetry magazines in the past. Okay, he has written for a lot of. He's written for New Yorker, for the New Arab, for let's see what are some of the periodicals he wrote for? The Nation, Aerosmith Press, Poetry Magazine, yeah, and among there are many journals. Okay, he really is a serious writer. He talks about how there's an interview at the end. He talked about, the love of reading and how many in his group, they enjoyed reading, and his poetry is just beautiful. You would think coming from Gaza, it would be depressing. Yes, there is a little hint of depression, but even in the darkness of some of these poems, there is light. I mean, his poems are like wonderful. I don't know, how can I describe? I just think of cotton candy. It's like wonderful cotton candy. They're so sweet. There's a purity about them, a beauty about them. He talks about, when you live in a place like Gaza and things have been destroyed and, your enemy has created ugliness around, you have to look for the beauty in the clouds and the flower and the, things like that. It's just wonderful, the book is. It's a wonderful, I just read it. I recommend highly reading it. At the end, there's an interview. He talks about his background. In the end of the book, he even includes some pictures from Gaza. So there's a few pictures. Here, this is one of the schools. This is the type of schools that a lot of people in Gaza were living in. These type of, I think some of them were UNRWA schools. I don't know if UNRWA, the UN organization, were running all of them, but this is one of the schools. He has a few pictures in here. Here's a boat, old boat. A lot of people in Gaza were doing, I don't know the percentage, were fishermen. And at the very start of the genocide of this war, Israel bombed all of their boats and set them to the bottom of the sea. So destroyed their livelihood. Okay, so Gaza went from semi-independence, where they could feed themselves, to now it's like Mad Max, combination of Mad Max, Thunderdome, Mad Max, Thunderdome, Beyond Thunderdome, The Hunger Games. It's awful. Okay, but it's the beauty and optimism of his poems is just wonderful. These are not angry poems. A lot of times you think of the African American poets. some of my poets, some of the poets of my people, some of them have been very angry. Angry poets. They're the angry black poets, but their poetry is wonderful. But his poetry is just it's just wonderful. It reminds me of other Arab poets I've read. He was influenced by other Arab poets like Mahmoud Darwish and what's his name? The old pre-Islamic poet. I did a Afro-Arab poet, pre-Islamic. What was his name? What's his name? I forgot his name. Antar Ibn Shaddad. I did a video about 2 years ago on my channel, so you can look for it on Antar. So you can look on my timeline. So I did like a little video about him and his poetry. But yeah, I recommend this book so much. It's a wonderful book. Do read it if you love poetry. And even if you don't love poetry, read it. Start reading. And he says something about poetry, and it's true. When you read poetry, you can see the simplest things and you can look at them in a deep way. Okay, poetry helps you to see things differently. You might say, oh, that's just a flower there. But if you read poetry, a good poet that describes poetry, they go into the depths of that flower, the meaning of that flower. So poetry is very, very important. I just absolutely love poetry. I write poetry myself. I got about 3 books worth of poetry that I need to either try to get to a publisher or either self-publish myself. But I'm so busy with teaching and working on other stuff. I spend a lot of time now writing and doing research. So yeah, but things you may find hidden in my ear. Look for his articles online. Also look for his other poetry book. He has another book. Mosab Abu Toha from Gaza. Read it. Now I'm going to try to go through the rest of the things that I'm currently reading. Okay, so the next books I'm going to talk about this book. This is called The Interracial Con Game by Umoja. I thought the book was mainly about interracial relationships, because this is a popular thing now, particularly with the younger generation and a few people my age, but not so much. But it's not just about that. It is, but it's also about how racism, white supremacy works. So I haven't gotten very far in it. I'm only on page, can I see? I got to get new glasses, guys. I'll probably get them in a month or two. Page 68. Okay. So I'm reading this, The Interracial Con Game. So far, so good. Very interesting. It's always good to understand about how racism, white supremacy works. Very important. That's a very important topic. I take it more seriously now that the way things are going in the world, okay? Another book that I just started, too, is called Gathering of Old Men by Ernest J. Gaines. He wrote the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. That was a popular book. Also, I think I might have read it in high school. And also, it was a miniseries, okay? So this is about a group of old black men in Louisiana that all of them are suspects to the murder of a Cajun farmer. Okay, the Cajun people are French-speaking people that live in Louisiana. They came here to the United States before the United States was the United States, and they migrated from Canada and came on down to Louisiana. They got kicked out of Canada, basically, ethnically cleansed out of Canada by the British, and they came to Louisiana. So even though the language is kind of dying out, these people are French speakers, and so this is a book about a group of, I think it's 18 old black men that are possible suspects in a murder, even though all of them are old and they couldn't hit the side of a barn. Okay. All right. The next book that I have is by a Palestinian writer, about female writer, and I've shared it before. I'm on page 69, and the book is called My First and Only Love. The author is Cesaire Khalife. Okay, or Khalife. And she is a Palestinian writer. She's from Nablus. And this is the story of Nidal. She's telling the story. She's the narrator of the story. Starts out in her childhood. She lives with her mother and her grandmother in Palestine. This is during the time before Israel, or right after Israel became Israel. After they stole and rode over another country, whitewashed over another country and became a country. This is the story of Nidal. And Nidal falls in love with a freedom fighter named Rabeh. So this is her story. It's a fairly thick book. I've started reading this. I have some neat bookmarks. I had thought about doing a YouTube video about my bookmarks. This is one. This is not an actual bookmark. I use all sort of neat things for bookmarks. But this is one here, a little embroidered thing of a little Turkish houses that a good friend of mine that's a professor in cars, when she was a student here getting her PhD in my hometown. She's from Turkey. She grew up in Istanbul, but her hometown is Kars in northeastern Turkey near Armenia. She gave me this as a little gift. Some little Turkish Ottoman style houses. Okay, so I use this as a bookmark. So so far so good. I'm enjoying this one. Cesaire Khalife is one of among some of the top female Palestinian writers. So this is what I'm reading with her, okay? Next book that I'm also reading, I'm trying to go as fast as quick as possible, is Eusebius, The Church History. Eusebius was a 4th century, I believe. They called him Eusebius of Caesarea. He lived in Palestine. He was a 4th century theologian, historian, and he wrote, this is his church history. The formal name, correct name, is ecclesiastical history. Okay, so this is very interesting. This is about the early church. He starts basically after when Jesus ascended back up to heaven, and he talks about what happened to the apostles and on like the first 300 years of the church. Okay, so this is the persecutions, the different heresies that popped up, the different apostasy, wrong teaching that got into the church. He talks about all this. Okay, so very, very interesting. It has pictures, many colored pictures. I'll show you a few. They have some. Here's one right here of. Let's see. Let me get it here. Here is the Acropolis, actually, in Corinth, Greece. I've actually been here to Corinth, okay? And so it has a lot of color pictures in this book and maps. It's a very interesting book. I'm about halfway through this one. Sometimes hard to put down because I love history. All right, so the next 2 books I'm going to go through. I should have mentioned the first one that I'm going to talk about. It's called Discourse on Colonialism, and it's by Aime, Césaire. Okay. Now, I actually finished reading it over the weekend, so I should have mentioned it earlier with Mosab Abu Toha's book, but I forgot to mention it. So I should have mentioned it first with the first two, and then I'm going to go ahead and mention them now. So Discourse on Colonialism is very short. Was very short. It basically was an essay that was less than 40 pages, and it was basically about that on colonialism. And Aimé Césaire was from the island of Martinique in the Caribbean, and he actually was a politician, a poet, and a writer. Okay, so I had read some of his poetry, but I didn't know he actually wrote prose. But it was very interesting, the essay. He put sarcasm in it, but he was completely telling the truth about colonialism and racism. Very much so. And he was using sort of examples of what people were going through in the Francophone colonies, like in places like Martinique, and particularly in not France, but in Africa. He was mentioning particularly in Africa, okay, the colonizers that came from like France and Belgium and things like that. So places like that, rather. So he was also one of the founders of the literary and philosophical movement called Negritude. It was him and the first president of Senegal in West Africa, Leopold Sédar Senghor, that were the founders of that movement. So the book I recommend it. It's short. There was almost a sort of humorous tone, but he was dead serious. So I'm going to also leave the link to the book, but you will have to open up a free account on Internet Archive to read it. But there may be some free copies online that you don't have to have an account on Internet Archive. But Internet Archive is a good website to have a free account anyway. So I do recommend on there as well. I've shared it before. Also, another book that I'm reading on Internet Archive is called Giants and Dwarfs, and it's by Edward J. Wood. Now, I couldn't find any information about who Edward J. Wood actually was. I'm assuming he was a British writer, but I couldn't find anything about him on Wikipedia or anywhere. Okay. He was the author of this book, and I think there's another book about clocks, I think. But this book is it's not a little book, but it's a curious book. It's basically talking about giants throughout history, because he believes, unlike what I was taught when I was in school, we were taught that people centuries ago were shorter than people now. But he believes that there were many giants, which goes basically pretty much what the Bible says. There were many giants that lived in times of old. Okay, so his book is about giants and dwarfs. I haven't got to the dwarfs part. He talks about the history of them, both giants found, giants in the Middle East. He talks about this mosque outside of Damascus, Syria, that has the grave of Adam in the Bible. I think his son Seth. I think Seth's tomb. I think it's Seth's tomb. I'll put the link also. Some of the things I'm talking about, the books, the video, the news interview that was done with Mosab Abu Toha. Okay, so I'm trying to juggle all these names that are not English names. I'm also going to put that interview in the description, so you'll see. Just check the description for any little extras that I mentioned in the video. So, but yeah, so I'm reading Giants and Dwarfs, and I could not find anything about the author, so that's very weird. Okay, another thing too, I had planned this for myself, that I was going to go back and read all of the Shakespeare plays I haven't read. I've read, I guess, close to half of the Shakespeare plays, but I haven't read all of them yet. Now, I haven't read any Shakespeare plays since maybe about 4 years now. I think the last one I read was Henry V, I think it was, but I haven't read anything recently, so I'll need to try to get in a Shakespeare play this year. But I decided to go back and try to read some of the classics that I read when I was in school. And so last night I was thinking about, I picked this one up, The Scarlet Letter. This is from the PBS version that was shown back when I was in high school, I believe, with Meg Foster and John Hurt, okay? And this is the classic American novel by Nathaniel Hawthorne about Hester Prynne, who committed adultery. And when the novel starts, Hester had already committed adultery, and she had had a child out of wedlock. And she refuses to say who the father is. And this is it's set during the 1600s in Puritan New England. Okay, so she was put in prison. She was shamed, everything. Okay, and basically ostracized from the community. There's an old movie made in the 30s about Scarlet Letter. This one came out I think around 1981. It was on PBS, and you can find it on YouTube. I can put the links to that as well. This was really good. This is one that they would actually show in school sometimes. And then there was one, Demi Moore, the actress Demi Moore did a version of it, which people say doesn't follow the book. I've seen a little bit of it on TV, the sanitized version. It doesn't follow the book, but the photography I think is really neat, and the costumes are. But yeah, I decided to go back to this because I read this probably in the 11th grade. So it's been 50 years since I read this. And I did not like this book. I liked the storyline, but I felt it too hard. This is not an easy book to read. So I want to see what it's going to be like at age 63. I'm 63 years old, so I want to see what do I think of it now. Now, I'm thinking if I'm fortunate, it will be like I felt about A Tale of Two Cities. I read Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens' book, his classic, in high school, and hated it. It was so hard. I also hated Shakespeare in high school. I had a couple of years. We had to read Romeo and Juliet. Then we had to read Julius Caesar. I was like, this is super boring. How can this be good? But then when I read Shakespeare now, I can pick up, I understand about life and everything. And I love poetry. So yeah, it's still not easy. But I love it. So I'm hoping that I will enjoy. I enjoyed the miniseries. I'm hoping this time I will fall in love with the book. So, yeah. So these are the things that I've been doing lately. I'm reading these. I mentioned going back to Mosab Abu Toha, the Gazan writer, the Palestinian writer. His library was called the Edward Said Library. It was in Gaza and it was destroyed. He started a library there. And I had mentioned before that I was going to read Edward Said's autobiography. I plan to get to it, but I haven't gotten to it yet, but I plan to get to it. So yeah. But so yeah, I'm back, and I just want to share these little jewels with you. Okay, you want to call them jewels? I want to share these little jewels with you, and yeah. So I plan to have some changes to my channel. I will pop up from time to time and talk about different issues. I have a lot to talk about at times, but it's just a matter of time and energy and whether I feel like to talk, because I'm a person, I'm surprised. I surprise myself that I'm actually on YouTube. It's kind of me. It's kind of, I must say that I'm surprised. I'm actually uploading videos. I don't like to be on camera. I don't like being on camera. I hate it. But I'm surprised that I developed the bravery enough to get up here and share a little bit of the stuff that I know. Okay? So I'm going to end here. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. So this is Césaire. Until next time.